Good morning, everyone. Running a little behind schedule today, trying to get everything done. All my I's dotted and T's crossed and whatnot. However, I came across this tweet and it kind of stuck out to me, but I thought maybe it's part of a stream of tweets and, just accessibility, getting everybody to have access to the same information. And I'm fine with that, but it's kind of strange because in the CBC News stream, I started scrolling to find the original tweet, and every single tweet was in English. All of them were in English. And then I hit this one, and it's in Chinese. And I don't know specifically which language this is. I don't read Chinese or any non-English language. So I apologize if that's not Chinese, but it looks Chinese to me. And so I came across that, and it's very strange. There weren't French tweets that were the first tweet in the stream, so that's kind of strange. But again, maybe not all that strange, because when you click into it, you see that there is an English translation. So there's the English translation. But the only strange thing about this now is there's no French translation. So that's weird, because Canada's two official languages are French and English. And as far as I know, we don't have three official languages, but strange that we don't have both official languages and a third translation. We just have English and Chinese. So strange. Links in the description. You can have a look for yourself. And I'll include the CBC News Twitter link as well, but you can see for yourself that it's all English tweets. So strange to lead with a Chinese tweet on the main stream that never leads with French tweets. It just leads with Canadian tweets. You'd think that they'd have like Chinese language CBC News if they wanted to supply that, and French language CBC News. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they have a lot of French tweets and I'm missing this. Maybe this is completely normal, but it still seems odd that there's no French translation and there is an English and a Chinese translation. Really weird. Okay, today's video is actually about a Maxime Bernier Twitter roundup, and so this is from the last couple of days, and Maxime tweets, this is May 3rd, so Maxime tweets, quote, "I wonder what @Michelle Rempel thinks of the story about the BC father who could be arrested for family violence if he refers to his daughter as a girl. Does she support free speech and parental rights? She seems to be pretty aligned with the far-left transgender activism." And there are images here of Ms. Rempel with a transgender activist and possibly the NDP VP, or the BC NDP, Vice President of the BC NDP. But I'm not sure if that's the same person. But this is Mr. Bernier, again, on the 3rd, responding to his tweet, and he says, quote, "Canada's oldest rape crisis center stripped of city funding for refusing to accept trans women. Quote, one of the figures leading the defunding charge was Morgan Ogre, sorry if I've got that wrong, a transgender advocate and vice president of the BC NDP. NDP, far-left activism, Rempel." And he's linking to a National Post article and this tweet. So that's interesting. Here is another tweet from the 4th, 5:04 a.m., and it's in response to Nick DeChico, sorry if I've got that wrong, Nick. He says, "Now all @Maxime Bernier has to do is run a commercial on TV and the radio so the silent majority knows the PPC exists. Social media isn't enough." And he says, "Nick, I agree, but commercials cost a lot of money. First, we need to pay for our office, staffers, admin, and legal paperwork. My trips cost across the country to hold rallies, etc. This is why everyone who truly wants the PPC to succeed must help with a donation." And there's a donation button there. This is May 3rd as well. He says, "Listen to my interview with Jim Goddard 3 today. We discussed the People's Party platform and election readiness." So the link is in the description for you to read. This is from the 3rd as well, and Mr. Bernier says, "This, quote, journalist sent an urgent media request demanding a comment for her ridiculous hit piece. I did not answer. Message to all left-wing activists masquerading as journalists, don't even bother contacting me for this. Not playing your stupid games anymore. Get lost." And this is in response to Global News. People's Party of Canada leader Maxime Bernier was filmed speaking to 2 people from the controversial Yellow Vest movement who have ties to the man arrested this week for uttering threats. Okay, so what they're trying to do is, by like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, associate Mr. Bernier with somebody who was arrested for uttering threats. And this is how they do it. Here's the hit piece. It has very little to do with Mr. Bernier and his movement, and everything to do with trying to tie Mr. Bernier to Yellow Vest movement that they're trying to vilify, which is silly, because if you've been paying any attention at all, the Yellow Vest movement in France is on the side of the working person, the overtaxed person whose government is ignoring them. That's whose side the Yellow Vests are on. And this recasting the Yellow Vests as a movement of white supremacists is just unbelievably stupid. It's very, very dumb. Okay, so Global News reporting. I'm using air quotes for reporting. Maxime Bernier mingles with Yellow Vest protesters at Toronto event. And Maxime Bernier talked about his plan to limit immigration in an interview with two members of the controversial Yellow Vest movement on Thursday. The People's Party of Canada leader was interviewed by Derek Story and Rick Boswick, who have ties to Tim Kaiser. Sorry if I got that wrong, all of you. The man arrested Wednesday for uttering threats during a small Yellow Vest protest at a Mississauga fundraising event for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. That's all they have. Two men went to an event that Mr. Bernier held. They interviewed him with cell phone footage, and we'll get to that in just a minute. And Global News is trying to make this all about the person who got arrested being associated with Bernier. Ridiculous. Demand more from your media. This is garbage. Fake news trash. You should be ashamed of yourself, Global and Rachel Brown. Garbage. Absolute garbage. Okay, back to the article. It is an article, but it's a fake news article. Story and Boswick filmed the 5-minute conversation with Bernier at the People's Party of Canada event at a bar in Toronto and posted it on their Facebook pages. It was also shared on a YouTube page by Rise Canada, a group that purports to defend Canadian values. Rise Canada's website features a video showing a march against what's described as radical Islam. And I'll pause here again. Mr. Bernier talks about radical Islam. Mr. Bernier has talked about the terrorism that is affecting Canada. Mr. Bernier identifies those threats and says that we should actually do something about them, like, well, meet them head on rather than pretending they don't exist. So it's funny that having a person in Canada, or maybe not in Canada, reposting a video, that becomes news if they have any any ideals or support anything that is against the current correct ideal, the current politically correct, whatever's being pushed by this media. So if this Rise Against or Rise Canada has nothing to do with Bernier, they're trying to make it about Bernier, right? They're trying to connect it. Oh, Rise Canada says is radical Islam. I mean, just use Bernier's quotes if you want to pillory him. It's so dishonest. It's so frustrating. Back to the article. Quote, we have no information in regards to the Yellow Vest movement. The spokesperson for the police, the RCMP, said in an email, we can confirm that no other individual was arrested at the same time, talking about Tim Kaiser. I scroll down again. Story and Boswick said they denounced such, I thought that was a headline. It's not. Anyway, denounced such comments about the Yellow Vest members killing Trudeau. Anyway, they added that they would decide whom they will vote for closer to the October 21st federal election. Boswick said that Bernier offers a platform that is most in line with their values. Quote, what the Yellow Vest movement offers is an umbrella identifier for every citizen that hates the current government, Boswick said. Scroll down again. In response to Boswick's question about whether he would address members of violent Antifa or anti-fascists, Bernier responded that he will not try to please, quote, every special interest group. All the other leaders and politicians, they're afraid. It's always more and more and more immigrants, Bernier continued. For us, you need to look at it and have a real discussion, national discussion. And that's what we want and that's why we want fewer immigrants, to be sure that the people who are coming here share our Canadian values and that they will be able to work and participate in our society. Global News emailed Bernier for comment on Friday, but did not receive a reply prior to publication. The PPC hosted a pub night at Shows, sorry if I've got that wrong, in Toronto on Thursday, according to the party's website. Actually, they hosted a 2-hour-long discussion on political correctness in Canada, and then everybody went to a pub night after that. But, just drop that from the story, guys. Ridiculous. Back to the article. Bernier's and Conservative leader Andrew Scheer faced criticism for addressing United We Roll protesters with ties to the Yellow Vest movement during a demonstration on Parliament Hill in February. Did Bernier actually get criticism? I think I only saw criticism of Andrew Scheer. I think every news media outlet ignored Bernier and then tried to pile on Scheer and say that he shared a stage with Faith Goldy, which wasn't true. And again, all of these associations are really, really flimsy. And I mean, if we started to look at Mr. Trudeau's associations, how many pedophiles have been arrested and convicted who have been very close to Mr. Trudeau? Want to play this game, guys? We can play the game. You'll lose. Mr. Bernier tweets this on May 3rd as well. He says Trudeau Liberals want much higher immigration levels, with targets ballooning to 350,000 people, not dollars, a year by 2021. I've said Canada must go back or to the average of recent years, 250K or less. We need to have a debate about sustainable immigration. What do you think? Retweet to broaden the audience. At 350,000 people, 7% support that, according to Bernier's poll. 250,000 people, 8% support that. 150,000 people per year, 13% support that. 100,000 people or less. 72% people support that. That's an incredible difference from what the Trudeau government is moving to do, because they're moving to increase to 350 and further, I'm sure. The last tweet for this morning, this afternoon, I suppose now, is Maxime Bernier saying, "Hurrah! Our caring and generous government is removing another major social inequity by solving the great menstrual products unavailability crisis of the early 21st century. How in the world were previous generations able to manage their lives without such help from Ottawa?" And this is in response to a National Post article saying, "Liberals to make menstrual products free in federally regulated workplaces." Wow. Talk about government intervention. You should be allowed to choose all of the personal products that you use and not rely on government handouts. And you say, what about the poor person? What about the person who can't afford it? I want to make everybody in Canada able to be so rich that they can afford it, able to have the opportunity and seize those opportunities to have good jobs and create their own wealth to afford this stuff. You cannot rely on the government to solve your problems, because one solution does not fit all. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, no matter how much the media want it to or how much the current Trudeau government want it to. Humans don't behave that way. It doesn't work that way. So, thank you for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I don't know that I'm going to get to a second video today, but I'm going to try, and I will do my best to be back on a regular schedule tomorrow. But hey, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Check out thepeoplespartyofcanada.ca and have a wonderful, wonderful day.